So you're thinking about moving to Dallas and you're coming from California. So back in 2021, I made a video about moving to Dallas from California, and wow, there has been a lot that has changed since that video, and hundreds of thousands of Californians who've made the move to Texas in the past few years are still considering it. So this update is absolutely essential, and for those of you who are coming from the West Coast. So comparing 2021 to now, we are talking massive shifts in the housing cost. Completely new neighborhoods that didn't even exist in 2021, and changes in the job market. And honestly, some challenges that have actually emerged since the incredible population boom with everyone moving during the pandemic. So whether you watch my original video or this is your first time here, I'm breaking down everything that you need to know about making the move from California to Dallas in 2025. And so trust me, some of these things will actually surprise you. But before we dive in, smash the subscribe button. And if you are thinking about making the move to the area, you can reach out to me at the contact information that is on your screen. You'll be talking to me directly, and we'll talk about your goals and overall your strategy for moving to the DFW area. Since 2021, in my last video, over 700,000 Californians have relocated to Texas. And that is nearly 750,000 people in the last 5 years. And the Dallas area has been one of the #1 destinations for these relocations, for absorbing about 180,000 of those new residents. And the ripple effects of that type of migration, not only from California, but from other states, has had its impacts for sure. So in 2021, I talked about how this was a growing trend. And so it's been a full-blown demographic shift that's really reshaped both states. So the reasons haven't changed much. Californians are still citing high taxes, housing costs, and business regulations for some of the reasons for their move. But what has changed dramatically is how Dallas has responded to the influx. So the median household moving from California to Texas is bringing about $175,000 more in annual income compared to those Texas residents. And this has created both incredible opportunities as well as some real challenges that I want to share. So let's address one of those biggest impacts, especially since 2021, which is housing costs. If you're expecting the same bargain that you were getting 4 years ago, I want to make sure I set some realistic expectations. So in 2021, I showed some homes that were around $350,000 that would cost about $800,000 in California. Well, many of those same homes are around $525,000 now, up to $575,000. So it's still a massive savings if you are coming from the California area, but it's about a 50 to 60% increase from 2021. So median home prices in Dallas Metroplex in 2021 was about $320,000, and now the median home price is around $485,000. So the median home price in LA, for example, in 2021 was around $750,000, but it's now $925,000. So your California dollar still goes about 90% further here in the Dallas area, but what's really interesting is that the inventory situation has also completely flipped. In 2021, we had a severe housing shortage. Now we have about 5.5 months of inventory, which is a buyer's market. Another thing that's changed is that new construction from 2021 has definitely increased. Master plan communities that were just starting then are now starting to thrive. So you have places like Prosper, Celina, and even Little Am that have literally doubled in size since 2021. So the sweet spot for California transplants is that you're looking at $450,000 to up to $650,000 for a really nice 4-bedroom home in an excellent school district. And in California, that same house would run you anywhere between 1.2 and 1.8 million pretty easily. So since 2021, entire cities have basically been built from scratch, and California transplants are driving a lot of this development. So some of the new hot spots from those of you who have moved to California, and this is not just California, but other relocation areas as well. Some of those new areas are Prosper and Celina. These were small farming communities in 2021. Now they're booming suburbs with some of the best schools in Texas. And we're talking about communities that have tripled in population with home prices ranging from 550,000 up to 1.2 million. You also have places like Little Lamb and Frisco North. Those master plan communities have resort style amenities and they rival anything that you can find in Orange County. And the infrastructure is also brand new. So you have really good communities and brand new facilities in these areas. McKinney and Allen have also experienced expansions. These established neighborhoods have added massive new sections specifically designed for some of the influx of the new residents. So there's also been a lot of money put towards the infrastructure investment in the DFW area. There's been a lot of new schools, expanded highways, and a lot of new shopping centers that have popped up. So Texas has really done everything they could do to kind of handle the population boom with new developments and infrastructure. So let's talk a little bit about the job market. It has also definitely transformed since 2021 and it has been absolutely crazy. It's largely been driven by companies that have been following their residents from California to Texas. So some of the major relocation is Texas Gigafactory, which expanded in Austin. And you also have Oracle's headquarters that moved here since the completion. Meta also has a massive presence here in the Dallas area. Goldman Sachs moved their corporate headquarters as well as Charles Schwab. So in addition to some corporations moving to the DFW, we've also seen a huge uptick into the entrepreneur ecosystem here. So tons of small businesses have also popped up and moved to the area as well. So if you're thinking about moving to Dallas, some of the tech salary data kind of shows that Dallas's salaries are competing with California. So for example, software engineers can make anywhere between $950,000 up to $880,000. If you're a product manager, you could have a salary anywhere between $110,000 up to $200,000. And if you're a data science, you can make anywhere between $100,000 up to $190,000. So these are approaching California levels, but with Texas cost of living. And so the math there is compelling if you are considering the move. So remote work has also stabilized. About 40% of California transplants are also keeping their California salaries while living here in Texas. And so that is an arbitrage that is a really great opportunity for some. So let's talk about the culture shift and how it's evolved. In Dallas in 2025, it feels slightly different from 2021. In literally just 4 years, this feels like even more of a bigger metropolitan area than it was before. The food scene has absolutely exploded. We've got California style health foods, authentic ethnic cuisines, and even food truck scenes that kind of rival the LA area. We have places like Deep Ellum and the Bishop Arts that really have expanded significantly. From a recreation and lifestyle perspective, the outdoor scene has actually grown as well. We have a lot of places that are popping up with new hiking, biking trails, and expanded lake access. And then we also are seeing a lot of places add on outdoor dining everywhere. So I, of course, talked about some of the really great things that came with the California migration, but let's keep it real. The massive migration hasn't been without its issues. And if you're considering a move, you need to know about some of these if you want to come to Dallas. The traffic and infrastructure strain on I-35 is just, I don't even know what to say sometimes, right? I actually live off of I-35, and so I have to access that highway pretty much to get to anywhere. And that traffic has always been really bad, but it seems especially bad within the last 4 to 5 years. Highway 121 and the Dallas North Tollway are also significantly more congested, especially during commute hours. And the infrastructure is trying to catch up, but we're definitely going through some growing pains there. We also saw things be an impact like service availability. So finding contractors, getting a good restaurant reservation, or even enrolling your kids in school activities. Some of these things filled up really, really fast. And it even became pretty competitive because of the new population surge. So from a property tax perspective, while our overall tax burden is still quite a bit lower than California's, property taxes have increased as well as the home values. So if you are considering a move from California, you want to make sure you budget accordingly. So let's talk a little bit about the cultural adjustment period that has happened here. The pace of the life and social norms and even business cultures is different, and some California transplants have actually struggled with the adjustment. And statistically speaking, the data is showing that about 15 to 20% of California transplants actually moved back to California within 2 to 3 years. And some of those reasons for Californians moving back is missing family and some of that established support that they had when they were back home, career limitations here. So if you're in a specialized industry with heavy concentration in California, being back in California may make a little bit more sense. And then also there could be a little bit of a cultural mismatch. The social and political differences are a bigger adjustment for some as well. And then also the weather extremes. Texas summers and ice storms are a real culture shock for people moving from an area that has pretty much 70-degree weather year round. Another real reason why people have moved back, and this is one that I actually understand, is that Texas lacks some natural diversity. So we don't have any beaches, we don't have any mountains, and some of that year-round outdoor experience that some Californians get to take advantage of every day. So some of those, that 15 to 20% that did move back, it's because they missed Mother Nature. So I'm not sharing the downsides to discourage you, but I want to make sure that you make a realistic decision if you're moving here. The families who thrive here in Texas long term are usually those who embrace the change, rather than trying to actually recreate California here in Texas. The good news is that most of these challenges are growing pains from rapid expansion and the infrastructure investments that are being made now to solve many of these issues. It could take some years, but the city and most of the state is working on getting there with a lot of the population increase. So let's get into the bottom line from a numbers perspective for housing when it comes from 2021 till now in 2025. California median rent is around $2,800 a month, while the Dallas median rent is around $1,650, and you have there an annual savings of around $13,000 a year. From a state tax perspective, California's rates are around 13.3%, while Texas is 0%. So savings on $150,000 income is about $12,000 in a year. The overall cost of living, from a grocery perspective, here in the Texas area, you're gonna see about a 15 to 20% less expensive. Utilities will be about 25% less expensive, and gas is about 40 cents to 60% per gallon less expensive than in California. Childcare is also going to be around 30 to 40% less expensive as well. So the real kicker on savings, and one of the reasons why California still make the move, is that the average Texas property tax rate is 1.6%. So on a $500,000 home, which is $8,000 a year, but there's no state income taxes. So it saves families around $8,000 to $15,000 per year. The net result is still a significant savings for most families. A family earning $150,000 in California can maintain the same lifestyle in Dallas for about $110,000, while getting more house, better school, and sometimes shorter commutes. So if you're thinking about moving to Dallas from California, here are my top recommendations for 2025. So family with kids, you may want to consider living in Prosper or Celina. Lots of new construction, top tier schools, and California style amenities. And the ranges are going to be anywhere between $550,000 up to $900,000. You also may want to consider Frisco North. This area has established infrastructure, excellent schools, major shopping and dining, and the home prices range from $475,000 up to $750,000. Another really good area to consider is going to be Allen and McKinney. Great balance of established and new strong communities, and the home prices are going to be around $425,000 up to $650,000. If you are a young professional considering making the move, you may want to check out Uptown Dallas, which has an urban lifestyle, really walkable, great dining and nightlife. Condos in this area range between $350,000 up to $600,000. You also may want to consider Deep Ellum, which is kind of a hip neighborhood with a lot of character and a shorter commute to downtown Dallas. The home prices in that area is going to range $400,000 up to $550,000. Another really great area for young professionals is going to be Las Colinas. This is a really nice suburb, modernly planned, really short commutes, and a lot of corporate headquarters. And the average home prices in those areas are going to be about $475,000 up to $750,000. If you are a retiree, you may want to consider areas like South Lake or Grapevine. These are established luxury communities that are close to DFW Airport, and the home prices range from anywhere between $600,000 up to $1.2 million. You may also want to consider areas like Plano West, which have really great mature neighborhoods, excellent amenities, and pretty much low maintenance. And the home prices in those areas range from about $450,000 to $700,000. Each of these areas have developed strong California transplant communities, making the social transition a little bit easier. So there's my updated take on moving from Dallas to California. The opportunity is still incredible, but it is evolved, so you're not going to find exactly the same bargains that we had in 2024, but you're going to get a little bit much more based on the development and infrastructure that has come to the area. So my advice, budget realistically, expect to pay about 50 to 60% more than you would have in 2021, but you are still going to have massive savings compared to California. Also, do your research. Some of the best opportunities in neighborhoods and cities to consider were barely even around when I made my first video in 2021. And third, you want to make sure to plan for your transition period. Services are more strained, traffic is a little bit heavier, and everything moves just a little bit slower. So you want to be patient as you are making your move. And the first thing is going to be embrace the Texas culture if you are deciding to move here. The most successful people that move to the area kind of see Texas for what it is, and they appreciate what it has to offer. So are you a Californian that moved here in 2021? I would love to hear your opinions and thoughts on DFW, if you love it here, or if you've considered making the move back home. And if you're still considering making the move, what questions do you have about the current market? Let me know in the comment, or you can reach out to me with the information on your screen. And I am so glad you joined me for this video. I'll see you in the next one.